10 scheduled. It's round robin play here. Day one action coming to you from Warsaw, Poland. And a successful break off, slotted that one into the side pocket, but he's got nothing on the two as we have another look at that break again from Alex.
Yeah, you can see the disappointment on his face. 3 balls down, but he's in no shape on the blue two.
Recently returned from America, where actually Rodney Morris and Thomas Engert both took place in an event in Las Vegas. And from there, Alex had just been in Indonesia doing exhibitions. He is stacking up the air miles.
Just trying to bring the cue ball down to the bottom of the table. A little bit loose that from Alex. Early stages, of course, both tables getting the feel of the table. And this is a chance here for Thomas. Not an easy shot coming in cold for this, but he's just checking to see whether the blue passes the red into the top left-hand corner.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, John. I don't know whether the 2 passes the 3 into that corner pocket. It doesn't look like it does. Well, the way he played it, though, would certainly suggest that it would have gone by there. And this is the first real opening now for Alex Pagulayan, but again, early days and the pressure of starting the event out. And the 5 and the, looks like the 5 and the 7 over on the right-hand side as we look.
Yeah, the 5
time will tell whether that 5's available.
That's right, Jim. That's the only concern here for Alex. No problems with the 2 or the red 3.
And all the racks won can be vital when the overall tabulations are put together.
I think Alex is all right here. I think he just draws the cue ball back down the table. I think he can see enough of the orange 5 to put it into the top right-hand corner. May need a little bit of right-hand side to cheat the angle slightly.
Very important, too, given the alternating break format, that you try and hold serve in effect. And
That's
with
right.
Alex breaking in this first rack, got to keep the pressure on Thomas, because Alex knows only too well how successful Thomas Engert has been.
He's not drawn the cue ball back as far as I thought he might for that shot. He's now a little bit of struggle position-wise. The cue ball will go into the brown 7, which makes position on for the... He can't even put it, no.
Yeah, I didn't think it went. Didn't look like it passed. That's a great recovery shot from Alex, and now he's back in prime position on the 6 ball. Forced to have to bank that 5. Good look from the overhead, and you'll recognize this table from Taipei, the World Championships. It's one of Brunswick's new models. They call it the Metro, and getting rave reviews from all the players. Well, that's a very confident start here from Alex Pagulayan. There was nothing easy about the way these balls were set.
Which the cue just... Cue ball going slightly close to the centre bag there. Both players looking a little nervy at the start of this match, but that's to be expected. But the 9 should settle it now. Settle down Alex's nerve. He takes the first rack, 1-0.
Yeah, just the sort of start that Alex would have been looking for. So Thomas Engert now to reply in rack 2 of a scheduled 10. Referee Nigel Reese getting things underway. And you'll see that little habit from Thomas Engert, where he puts the cue ball on the table and then just swipes at it with his cue back to where it is now. That's just something, I think it's a bit of superstition.
Yeah, exactly, Jim. It's a habit, isn't it, with these players? Well, if they get into a habit and it starts working for them, they certainly don't want to change it. And I think that's what Thomas has got into with that little swipe of the cue ball just before the break.
Again, lots of power in that break
You lost the cue ball slightly, drawing the cue ball back towards the top of the table. The object off of the break, what these players will be looking to do is to get at least one ball down and stop the cue ball as close to the centre of the table as they can, giving them the best chance of a shot on the one.
Thomas made a point of letting me know earlier that he's no longer the smiler. He's the lean machine now. He wants to establish a new nickname.
A nice tight safety there from Thomas. There's no shot on. So just drawn the cue ball in behind the orange 5. Tough escape here for Alex.
And then some. I'm not too sure that the one cushion is offered. The way that Alex is looking now is the left cushion on our monitor and then the far right cushion. Well, there was nothing easy about that. And with cue ball in hand now, certainly you'd have to expect Thomas Engert to square things up here at one rack apiece.
Yeah, he's got some work straight away to do though. The 2 is hampered by the black 8 towards the bottom right hand corner, so he'll be putting the cue ball in a place where he can pot the yellow 1 into the side bag and roll the cue ball down towards the 2 and the 8.
No, good call, John. I didn't look at the table before I said that, and given the position of that blue 2, it's all on this first shot. And there you go. Now, it's going to be nothing more than defend here because he can't even bank the 2. The 8's in the path of the bank shot.
He's just looking to see whether he can glance onto the 8, but I don't think he's got a chance there of potting the 8.
Now, this is all defense here, and it's all about the speed of the shot.
Just looking to leave the cue ball in behind the 8. Not so difficult an escape here for Alex. You'd certainly expect Alex to get out okay of this. It's just a question of where he leaves it afterwards. I suspect you'll see Alex play this with a bit of power because he'll need to hit the 2 and then send the 2 around the table. Wants to put the distance in between. He's looking to see if he can go across to the left-hand side of the table. That would be very aggressive.
Yeah, that would surprise me because it takes the cue ball away from the 4 too. There's no value there. So this way, if he can get it off the 2 cushions.
Yeah, this is certainly the better shot. Try and leave the cue ball pretty much where the 2 is. And send the 2 up to the other side of the table. Didn't quite catch the 2 as full in the face as he would have liked.
And another chance now for Thomas Engert. And I think Thomas really, if he looks back at this second rack, it's just been a matter of being able to contain Alex, and it's forced the openings. Now his second real look at securing the rack. He doesn't want to be too straight on this 4. That just means he's going to have to dial long distance on that 5 ball.
Shouldn't be too bad. The orange 5 is right over the top left-hand bag. So as long as he leaves himself just a little bit of an angle. Yeah, he can just drop this 5 in, bring the cue ball off of the top cushion back down towards the green 6. So as you say, Jim, it has been containment in this rack so far. Alex has only come to the table twice, both times found himself snookered.
Engert ended up beating Alex in a recently played event in Las Vegas. Mind you, there aren't many players that have had the last laugh on Thomas in the last 3 months. None that I can think of.
That's right, Jim, winning that $50,000 winner-takes-all prize. Thomas Engert.
9 down, and Thomas draws Alex. Try and take this rack apart. Number 3 of a scheduled 10. Round robin action. He's lost the cue ball. It has stayed on the surface for him, but familiar territory. He's back basically in the weeds because he does not get through to that 1 ball.
Neither player has managed to control the cue ball on their break yet. Just a push out here for Alex. Did get some movement on the 9 on that break though. I haven't seen that in the first 2 racks. I think in the forefront of both players' mind it will be a little bit more control on the cue ball.
Never easy though on a brand newly installed table with the new cloth. It's going to be a little slipperier than these players will be used to. So it's going to take some adjustments, and
After
with very little time to make those adjustments.
After the push out here, it's Thomas, so he's got the option of playing this shot or putting Alex back in.
And not a lot of positional value. Smart shot Alex played there because he's bumped the 6 in front of the 9 to take away the 2-9 combination. Otherwise, Thomas would have been able to try and just roll this long 1 in and have a free shot at the 2-9. So there was a little more thought to that push out than one might have first suspected. That's a great shot from Thomas Engert, played at speed. I was surprised. I thought he might turn that back over to Alex because there's...
yeah, as you say, because it was a tough pot he's taken on, and he hasn't really gained a huge amount from it. He's now still in a little bit of trouble on this too. I mean, he could go for a really fancy combination, 2-6-9, if he tries. The 9 is close to the pocket, but
well, I'm wondering
he's looking
if
at
the
it.
billiard isn't there from the 2 taking the cue ball towards the 9, whether the 6 doesn't interject that particular shot. And if not, then again, it's going to be all about safety. Thomas just looking here to maintain the initiative. As he kept that cue ball in behind the 6, certainly looks like he has, and early days suggests that Thomas Engert is fit for the fight.
Yeah, it's an important rack, this one as well, because both of the first 2 racks going in favour of the breaker, but Thomas looks to have the advantage in this one so far, and that's against the break of Alex. Alex just looking to masse around the 6 slightly. Doesn't have to do it an awful lot to hit the 2. Problem with a masse shot is you're never going to get much power into it, of course. After masseing around and then hitting the blue 2, a ball must hit the cushion afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he's
gone for the jump cue.
Exactly, he's changed his mind and gone for the jump.
He's only got to get over the edge of that 6, so not a lot of problems. This is more about controlling the hit as opposed to actually escaping.
Looking to just come across the 2, yep, sending the 2 back down the table, leaving the cue ball up the top, and a little unlucky to get the collision from the brown 7 there. The 2 would have been further down the table. I think we'll certainly see Thomas take this 2 on to the bottom left-hand corner. No need to go after the 9, you can just take the 2 on. If he can pot the 2 and get good shape on the red 3, he should have no trouble for the rest of the rack.
Well, that one fought its way into the bottom of the pocket, but not without a few anxious moments, I'm sure, from Thomas Engert as we see it again. Only the TV lighting that heats up the cushions a little bit, and the fact that it's a brand new cloth makes the table play a little bit more sympathetic than it would be, or certainly will be here as the tournament progresses, I think, John. But either way, that's a good opening shot from
Wants to be
Thomas
slightly
Engert.
careful of the brown 7 here. Just managed to come past, and now should be a straightforward 6-9 combination to take this rack against the break. And this will give Thomas a large advantage in this first match. No problem with the 9. It's Thomas Engert who takes the 3rd rack and goes into a 2-1 lead.
Thomas Engert has been putting in a lot of practice, upwards between 4 and 8 hours a day for the last few months. Look at all the success he's enjoying, and Alex Pagulayan now has to try and steal one against the break, so he's hoping for a little bit of a hiccup from Engert here. Rack number 4, 2-1 in front. Well, that was a nice touch from the cue ball to the keep it. It was heading towards that corner pocket, John, and now he's got a big chance on the 2, and everything in the open for Engert.
Yeah, that's right. Jim just losing the cue ball a little, but it was saved by a collision with the 2, and now in good shape. Thomas looks so determined in this early stages of this match.
As you say, he's solid, doesn't he?
Absolutely. He really has had a fantastic season. He's always been a little in the shadow of his compatriots Oliver Ortmann and Ralph Souquet, often making up the 3rd player in their European team. But this season he's really pushed that behind him and gone out into the lead, and he has looked a different player this season, and it's so evident even in these early stages of this match that his concentration is right at its highest.
Well, I'll tell you something, John, when I had Torsten Homan, Ralph Souquet and Oliver Ortmann in Taipei, the World Championships last summer, I had the 3 of them outside the venue, and I said, now, you 3, you're arguably the 3 best ever from Germany, aren't you? And to a man, they said, oh, no, you've got to include Thomas Engert in that. So even though Engert hasn't enjoyed the success that they have, they all know how this guy can play.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's showed it to the rest of the world outside of Germany this season. Should be okay on the 8 and 9. This is to open up a 3-1 lead.
Reigning Whirlpool Masters champion. Challenge of Champions champion. And he's looking to add another jewel into that crown.
Didn't want to leave the cue ball quite so close to the side rail here, but no real problems. Just drop the 9 into the bottom right-hand corner.
Just like that, Thomas Engert, he's no longer the...
Watch the path of the cue ball. It's the cue ball he really wants to keep as close as he can to the center of the table. Give him the most chance of a shot on the low ball.
Great break off, but he needs him to sit pretty now. 4 balls on that break, and he's got a clear look at the 3. Engert's really found the sweet spot in terms of successful breaking.
Yeah, a lot of balls down, Jim. I think he would have sacrificed 1 or 2 of those for better shape on the 3. A tough cut, particularly position-wise, to get onto the pink 4.
Well, the saving grace is the natural angle's taken that cue ball over towards the 4. So he'd be pretty unlucky not to land on it. And the 9 hasn't really come to his aid. But again, this would be one Thomas would expect to get. He'd be playing this in the top left corner. Doesn't have to worry about the cue ball. The cue ball is going to stay down for the 6, which will be the next ball on.
That's right, Jim. I think you're right. I think you'll see him just try and drop this into the top left-hand corner. He's played that with a little more pace than I thought. He tried to bring the cue ball across off of 2 cushions and back into shape for the green 6. That little bit of extra power has meant that he's missed the pot, and this now is a very big chance for Alex to get right back in this game.
Yeah, that was a mistake Alex needed to try and steal one against Engert's serve. And now every chance, and Thomas would like to have that one over again. Alex is gaining fans now, given his notoriety as the world champion. He's doing a lot of travel, and he's winning fans over everywhere he goes.
Just needs to bring the cue ball around. Natural angle will be off of 2 cushions here, but he wants to avoid any contact with the 9. Referee Nigel Rees just making sure he doesn't foul the brown 7 with his top, but really had to dig into that cue ball to avoid the path of the 9, but very well played from Alex. And now straightforward brown 7 and 9 to level the match at 3 apiece. And see how it can swing so quickly. Thomas Engert was 2 racks up and looking very confident, but just one mistake, that missed pot on the pink 4. And it's all level, 3 apiece. Alex ties the game.
Yes, and that one against Engert's break, so Alex will be breaking in rack number 7, and that was a much-needed win for pagulayan. This one's certainly on paper a difficult one to call because you had the reigning world champion and probably one of the best players on current form in the world in Engert. But this was the 4 where it all went wrong for Thomas. Thomas has to think about that 4 ball now that went awry in the last rack. He's got to put all those negative thoughts out of his mind. This one a long ways from over. Rack 7 of a scheduled 10. And it's going to be the lion to break here. Sporting a different hairdo. It's one thing about Alex too, John. You never know what you're going to get from him in terms of hairstyles. Ooh, that 9 tracking desperately close to that corner pocket. Didn't drop.
That's right. Alex got a little bit of movement on the 9 last time off of his break, but I think he's sacrificing a bit of position with the cue ball on the power, trying to get the 9 towards the pocket. And it might be better judged trying to put a little bit more control in the cue ball. Now he's got a tough shot on the yellow 1. He'd dearly love to break and run this rack. He leaves to keep Thomas in his seat and make him dwell on that mistake in the last rack, the missed 4. Anytime your opponent makes an error like that, you really want them to think about it as long and hard as they can.
This is the big shot in this rack already. Oh, what a beautiful strike from Alex there. And he's got angle on the 2. That was the tough shot, and instantly he's just forged himself a huge opening in this rack.
Absolutely. That's the sort of shot that you'll see a lot of players play with too much power. But Alex just played the shot sweetly, bringing the cue ball back down the table. Very good shot on the 1.
Just wants to be sure. He's got the 3 up at the other end of the table. The way he was digging in, it looked like he was going to go 2 cushions, and now he's playing top, so it's straight up the middle of the table for the 3.
He's worried about the green 6, Jim, here. He's worried about the path the cue ball might take. He wants to avoid a collision with the green 6. Even thinking of just dropping the 2 in and leaving a possible bank on the red 3.
No, he's going to try and power this one in, John.
Yep, nicely. That was the green 6, which is what changed his mind on that shot. He had to dig in, play around off of 2 cushions, and now in perfect shape.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to play a billiard from the 5 to the 9. The 3 and 4 pose no problems whatsoever for Alex, so he'll just want to leave that cue ball down roughly where the pink spot would be on a snooker table on the left-hand side. So he'll just float this in, get back over to the middle of the table, somewhere where he's standing. And that, again, assuming that 5 doesn't pass the 9, so that the billiard is the next one that Alex will be eyeing up. All right, that's right around where he wanted to be.
Absolutely perfect, Jim. That's where he was. Just a little fine cut off of the orange 5, take the cue ball into the 9 and try and pot the 9 into the corner bag. There's a good rack from Alex. It's been not easy going.
Yeah, all manufactured by that great 1. That was the key.
Well, he looks like he's trying to take the 5 here. Does it pass by the 9?
Well, our overhead camera sure doesn't give us any indications that that 5 passes,
He's
but
certainly looking at position on the green 6, so he's certainly going for the orange 5.
Well, you look at it like that, and it looks like, oh, it's the old shrinking ball shot, but it obviously must go, though it's wide open. No dangers whatsoever. And as you noted earlier on in this broadcast, John, these players won't play combinations unless they have no choice. Or billiards, or anything a little bit more imaginative than just knocking the balls in. And case in point right there, too.
Little surprised to see Alex play that shot that way. Thought he might have taken the 6 into the corner bag. He's come the wrong side of the 8. Now
he does have to play the combination.
He's forced into the combination.
Choice. And the combination successful, so Alex Pagulayan gets in front now of Thomas Engert, 4-3. It'll be Engert to break off in rack number 8, but Alex has certainly seized the momentum right back from Engert. He trailed 3-1 at one stage. He's won 3 in a row. A much more relieved Alex Pagulayan, as stated, has seized and regained the initiative back from Thomas Engert. Much more comfortable in his chair easily now. 4-3 in front. It's going to be Engert to break, but Alex knows that he's going to get at least
Thomas Engert to break.
2 more breaks in this match.
That's right.
So he would have to be considered a little unfortunate to lose it at this stage.
Forefront in Thomas's mind now is to put out the miss on the 4 2 racks ago. That was the last time he was at the table. Good control on the cue ball. This looks like a good break. Just wants to get the 2 out of the way of the brown 7. I'm not sure he can see enough.
I don't think it's poked its nose out far enough for him to be able to go after it. You saw after this break again, but Thomas Engert was almost willing that 2 past the 7, and I don't think it's come out far enough.
You can see now the importance of the control on the cue ball off of the break. If that cue ball was bang center of the table, there'd be no problem spotting pretty much any of the balls on this table. As it is now, he's out of shape for this blue 2. And it's so important to keep the advantage on the break. We've seen that so far. 7 racks so far, just 2 of them going against break.
And again, he can only get through to the right-hand side of that 2. So if he could hit enough to just bump it off that side cushion and drop it in behind that pink 4 and take the cue ball in an ideal world just up towards that 9 ball. Well, that's assuming he can see that much of it. Maybe he can't even see that much.
That's right, Jim. He's been looking. It's very close, and because of that, he's actually called a push out.
Well, he's pushed right into a kick. He'll be getting this shot back. Alex doesn't even get out of his chair. Didn't need to have a look at that one.
I'm surprised he put that so straight behind the brown 7. He must have known he'd be a bit straight back in here, and this is a harder shot than he could have played first shot after the break, isn't it, Jim?
Well, you never try to guess, or second guess for that matter, what goes through these players' minds. But I have to question that effort. At this stage, I mean, if a mistake now would be crucial. Trails 4-3. And whatever he had in his mind, it's going to come pretty clear here. Well, he's basically thrown it into the lap of the gods, trusting to luck. And he's left Alex a shot at the 2.
Yeah, I think he wanted a fuller contact on the 2.
And what's worse is he's left Alex an angle on this 2 ball to possibly even flick that 3 into the open, because that was Thomas Engert's insurance policy, that 3.
Absolutely, Jim. The 3 was the only real trouble in the rest of this rack, and Alex now does have an opportunity to take the cue ball into the 3 afterwards. Wants to really hit the low side of the 3 in behind it, as he has done, opening it up, and now in excellent shape for the rest of the rack. So a real mistake there from Thomas Engert.
Yeah, mistake in judgment, and Pagulayan will be sending him no sympathy cards.
This is a good performance from the world champion. It looked like Thomas Engert had the initiative early on in this match, but Alex has stuck with it and taken the chances when he's got them since, opening up a 4-3 lead, and now an excellent opportunity to take another rack against Thomas Engert's break, and at least secure a point out of this match. All of these matches, 10 racks.
Sorry, John, I just wanted to say he wants to leave a nice angle on this 4 to get the cue ball back over the right-hand side of the table for the 6, or from this 5, sorry, get over for the 6. In an ideal world, they never really want to be straight in on a ball, unless of course it's the final 9, because that way it affords them all the positional options. And they're so creative in terms of moving that cue ball around the table. You'll see it spinning, you'll see that white ball spinning with all those red dots on it now. That's become very recognizable from all the major events, just how much side spin they put on that cue ball.
Yeah, they can see exactly. A case in point, Jim, he's left an angle on this brown 7 to make the positional aspect of the shot, bringing the cue ball down the table, far easier. So really textbook clearance here from Alex, just keeping the cue ball towards the center of the table.
And making Thomas Engert pay for that lapse of judgment. 9 secured, and with it, Pagulayan assures himself of at least is somehow manufactured to lose the last 4 racks on the trot from 3-1, a lead he enjoyed early. He now looks at a 5-3 deficit, and if he's to secure any value at all from this match, he's got to win the last 2 racks. So he needs to steal this one against Pagulayan's break. And where that cue ball's finished after the break, even though a ball was pocketed, it looks very difficult for Alex to get position from the 1 to the 3.
That's
right.
right.
See that break off again.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. You can see he's got a shot on the 1, and the pot is okay. Alex, you'd expect him to take the pot on and without any problem, but it's the getting the position on the red 3 afterwards. You'd really have to put some power in this and top the ball through or end off of 2 cushions, and you obviously lose a little accuracy on the pot when you're doing that.
And cueing at a premium from that side cushion, so this will be a great shot to open it if he gets it. Oh, what a strike. He cues as well as anyone around.
Again, you see that shot. That's so much spin on the cue ball to take it around the back of the pink 4. Give himself shape on the 3.
Again, a good shot from Pagulayan, and the door is wide open now.
That was a harder shot than he looked. He really has to take that cue ball into the 8 with some power to make the cue ball move across to the left-hand side of the table to leave himself up. Here you see it. Needed to make sure that the 8 didn't collide into the pink 4 either. So very well controlled shot from Alex. Seeing some of the form here that's made him the world champion, the current world champion. Might be forced into the combination here, I think. Wanted it to be a little straighter. 5 onto the brown 7.
This is the key shot in this rack, because that 5 is going to be hanging around that bottom left corner pocket. And now Alex, every chance to garner a full 2 points from this match.
That's right, Jim. If he takes this rack, he'll go into a 6-3 lead with only one rack remaining, so he'll secure the 2 points. First 2 points of this year's World Pool League. Thomas Engert had a nice run early on in this match, took a 3-1 lead, but a couple of mistakes since on his own break has let Alex in.
Again, just how effortlessly he moves that cue ball around the table. He's got that long flowing action, and he makes the game look a lot easier than it is. And there's the 2 points secured for Pagulayan. 6-3, 5 in a row. And what a run this has been for the Lion. Pagulayan secured the 2 points in this one, but Thomas Engert still with a little mission, because if there is a tie, it goes down to racks 1. So even this last rack, who's to say it could not be very significant when they're all tallied up.
He'll certainly be a little disappointed though, Thomas Engert, that that's all he's got to play for in this last rack after such a good start. There's just that one miss on the pink 4 in rack 5 that really changed the match. There's nothing down off the break there.
Push out call.
But he's also got to be careful. He doesn't want to leave a position that Thomas Engert might be able to play a good attacking safety on him. Nifty little shot here. Probably a little unlucky to have lined up the 8-9 combination. He tried to lay that 9 on the 8. There's one thing about Alex I've noticed. You don't want to get into a chess game with him either, John. He's pretty handy over a chessboard, and he shows the way he likes to turn it into a real tactical battle here with that particular effort. The first match in any tournament is never easy to come out and play. Engert's putting Alex right back in.
Ideally, what Alex would like to do here is to somehow get the yellow 1 back down the table and leave the cue ball in behind either the red 3 or the orange 5. Well, he left the pot on there, and I don't know whether Thomas Engert just didn't see that. Maybe he completely missed it, didn't even think that there was any way through for the yellow 1.
That's the second instance. The first with Thomas Engert's push out. That was just a total error in judgment. And here again, Alex got up and knocked that 1 in like it was over the pocket. Well, Engert might not even have considered it.
I think that's right. You could see the confusion on Thomas's face there. I don't think he even considered the yellow 1 went past.
And what's more is there was an element of safety there. Oh, well, mistake from Pagulayan. And there was no reason for that one either. He had a lot of room for error. But just getting back to that first shot, I mean, even had Alex missed the 1, he had a wall of colors there that he could well have hidden it behind. So that was well worth the risk of going for it. But either way, it's that's history now. This is the problem that Alex Pagulayan has to sort out. Just overhit that 3. Left himself in no man's land on this 4.
He's looking to see there, taking on a long orange 5 afterwards. So being aggressive, going for the jump shot, try and jump over the brown 7, and he's going to try and pot the pink 4. But of course, doing that, the cue ball will probably stay towards the bottom of the table.
Absolutely, John. That's what Alex was queuing up and just checking into. It'll probably come over towards that last diamond. Well, that's assuming he would have got over the 7, but well, it couldn't have gone a lot better considering that the foul has come into Alex's game, but he's bumped that 7 again over into a position that's going to make it a little tricky for Thomas.
Yeah, that's the problem for Thomas here. Shouldn't be any trouble with the orange 5 or the green 6. But it's the position from the brown 7 to what will be an 8-9 combination.
Yeah, it just means the cue ball is going to be traveling a little bit more than would ideally be the case. Well, he just wants to get the cue ball into the middle of the table here.
A little bit further down. Now going to have to play this with some power, take the cue ball probably to the bottom cushion, to the left side, and then back up into the center of the table.
3 cushions, back over the right-hand side as we look.
Yeah, that's nicely played from Thomas.
Gets the 9, so Thomas Engert finishes this match on a positive note.